People are seeing the LA fires. You've got the drones and the orbs. You've got earthquakes, tornadoes. You've got the wars going on with Russia and Ukraine, Palestine with Israel. And you know they've recently just had a ceasefire and they're now exchanging hostages and stuff like that. So what we want to go into today is really the updates of what's happening on the planet Earth. Remember, we always explain that Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Zio, the master teacher, he's one being on this planet that is very unique. He's the one that has taught us wu-sabat and given us back our culture. So let's get into what's going on the planet. Our most important priority right now is to get the master teacher released because he has been incarcerated. Despite all the rumors and what you hear, this is really about him being an extraterrestrial that was actually exposing and giving out information in his books from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s about extraterrestrials and the things that are happening on the planet today. As time has gone on, this has become more and more evident that he was giving you the actual facts because things are being proven now. The being Malachi, who is the physical being incarnated by the being Yanun, or Yanun is incarnated into the body of Malachi. Malachi is okay, but Yanun, he's actually got to a point where, you know, he's ready to depart. If we don't get our act together on the planet, if we as, you know, what they will term the Negroids, we say the Nagar Nadu, don't get our act together, because even though we have our own culture and own way of life, we're still not respected or following other people's way of life, still caught up in religions, which we've debunked many times to be based on beliefs, which is not really factual. So we have to make sure that we don't allow Yanun to depart. And we got to come out of the living in the image of the beast. We're going to talk about that. And the beast is the system that is running the world today. There's actually a computer in Germany or in Brussels called IBM 666. And that computer is connected to the internet. And the beings that are running and operating that computer, called the beast, are pushing out, like I said, religion. And even in the books of the Bible, they tell you that the mark of the beast, whoever doesn't have that mark will not be able to buy or sell. And so when you look at how the world is run today with the wars and the chaos and all the things that we're talking about, it's because of the beast. All right. So a lot of Negroids, they just used as pawns, and they just basically provide entertainment and will be paid to play the clown or be a comedian or be a sports personality or basically anything to do with entertainment, which is kind of how during, you know, what they call the slave trade, we call slave kidnapping, you know, Negroes were only really useful for providing entertainment. And it's pretty much the same till today. So we got to stop trusting the lies, stop living in the image of the beast, and realize that we are able to have our own culture and live according to our way, which is wu-sabat. So let me go through some of these updates. So presidents are selected and not elected. And you say, who selects the presidents? It's because you have powerful beings, powerful organizations, like, you know, the Bilderbergers, the Bohemian, the White Owl, the Brothers in the White Owl, which is really dealing with when they have these meetings like the G8 and certain meetings where only certain people are allowed to attend these meetings. These meetings, the elite, or what they call the elite, they answer to these extraterrestrials, like the ones from Aldebaran star system, where we've spoken about Hitler being in touch with them in the past, and these Dragonians. You can find that Greek Strong's number 758, where you see the word archons. And the word archons means ruler. So when you go back and watch the ceremonies that they go to the owl, which is really the order of the White Lodge at the Bohemian Grove, Alex Jones exposed this many years ago. They go there and they worship this owl and they try to appease their gods known as Moloch. And this is where you get the word in the Bible as well, like angels, but these angels are extraterrestrials, the archons, and they were the same ones who were over Hitler. What's amazing, I did a video previously where I was saying that, is it a coincidence that Trump did his rally at the Madison Square Garden where Hitler did his as well during the time when Hitler was around and running? And these are the same beings, these archons that were over Hitler. They tie into the Ashtar Federation, you know, goes into the witchcraft and the Satanists, which they were dealing with, like Madame Blavatsky and the Thule Society, which was really in Germany. Even though you had German, Adolf belonged to the Third Reich, or part of the Thule Society as well. And Madame Blavatsky was a witch that was a medium that was in contact with the Ashtar Federation from the Aldebaran, and they were helping Hitler. And he was trying to take over America. In the previous video, I had mentioned that even though people think that Germany lost the war, the Third Reich and what you will call the secret army, they didn't lose the war. And a lot of Germans ended up in America, and the scientists, etc., so trying to take over America. And to this day, you'll see that, like I said, although America think they won the war, they actually lost the war to Germany, and all the German brains came to America and took over. For many of them already lived in America anyway. Like Truman. Truman was the 33rd US president, and Truman was in contact with aliens as well, or extraterrestrials. And also you had Eisenhower. He was the 34th US president from 1953 to 1961 AD. They were all in contact and knew about aliens and extraterrestrials, and things were concealed or suppressed. And most of the movie stars, and they came from Europe to America. So you had even like the bomb. Again, there's a movie called Oppenheimer, or the Netflix series. Watch that, because this German guy, J. Robert Oppenheimer, he was responsible for the atomic bomb. And this bomb was a serious thing when Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed. That made the extraterrestrials that are already on the planet step in. This was why you saw the crafts over the White House and things like that, because it risked destroying the entire planet. So it's when we say planet, we've said before, and we break down Plan ET when you look at the word planet, and how a lot of people in America are actually German European, including Trump himself. So if you look at what's going on with Trump and this thing that Elon Musk, because again, when you look at Elon Musk is somebody that has been brought into Donald Trump's office along with other people. And Elon Musk seems to have an obsession with the letter X, because his original company was called X.com before he got involved with like what people know him from, where they say he's a founder of PayPal when he wasn't actually the founder of PayPal. But the X is the point I'm making, because when you look at the letter X, X.com, then he had the car, the Tesla, it was X car. Then you've also got SpaceX, so you had X car, SpaceX. SpaceX is the rocket launching company. Then what did he do? He bought Twitter and turned it into what? To X. Now, the letter X is very important, because when you're dealing with, like, even then you see like 3 X's, yeah? 3 X's deals with pornography, right? Or X-rated. You see things which are X-rated. And if you look at the word VI, which is what, 6 in Roman numeral. If you look at 6, why is 6 important? Because like I said, we're dealing with the beast, or 666, which is supposed to be the number of the beast. When you look at that and then you put the word, like, in terms of what I said about not being able to buy or sell, today you deal with buying and selling, you're using credit cards now. And when you look at that Visa, that ties into the mark of the beast, because the VI, right, that's why I was putting that, VI is 6 in Roman numeral. The S, right, is sigma, and that's also 6. And the A, when you know something called the abjad system, yeah, the abjad system is how letters have a numerical value, and the numerical value of A in abjad is also 6, ties into that. And when we start to look at what we're talking about in terms of, I'll go more into that in terms of the 666 being the mark of the beast, or the number of the beast. It's really nothing new to see that when Elon Musk did what they're calling the Nazi, yeah, the Nazi sign. Yeah, this is a big thing at the moment on, online. Everybody's talking about what he did, because that was hailing Hitler. Okay, now one of the 200 fallen angels' name is also Hitler, because again, as he was in contact with these extraterrestrial beings, they were basically telling him to wipe out and create a new race. And this is what, the whole thing with Germany and the Jews, right, goes into. So we're going to touch on that. So it's a big thing. Why? As I said, Donald Trump's rally was in Madison Square. Hitler's rally was in Madison Square. And the people that Trump is surrounding around him, including Elon Musk, are now giving the Nazi salute or signal. Is that a coincidence? I think not. Okay, so if you were to actually look at Genesis 15, verse 13 to 12, it says, right, we as a race, as Nagaru, we are supposed to come out of America, because if you know anything about the prophecies, like the books of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 2 says, come out of her, my people. And if you read Genesis 15, 3 to 15, it says, we will return home to our father's land, which we know as Ganawa, or it was called Ganawa, but today called Africa. And it says, Genesis 15, and he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. 14, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. And verse 15, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. So this is talking about when Abraham was told that he will return or come out of that land after 400 years. Revelation 18, which I mentioned, right? And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great has fallen. When we say Babylon, yeah, we're talking about, we say Babylon, there's old Babylon and there's new Babylon. And Babylon the great, that's referring to America. Babylon falling, okay? Because you had old Babylon, remember that ties into the Anunnaki as well, in terms of when we're saying Anunnaki, when we're talking about Bab-el, right? Where you get the word Bible from as well. Bab-el, or Bab-Elion, tying back to the Anunnakis. Well, I don't want to digress too much. Right, so it says, Babylon the great is fallen, and it's become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean, hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That's why I was saying about the fornication tying into porn. Because porn, when you look at that quote, when we get into it, talking about, the harlot, pornography, right? So it says that for every nation have wrath of fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye may not partake of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. So the sins that this Babylon the Great has committed are now, you can see that when I'm saying all the fires, the wars, and all the things that are going on, is saying that God has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen, and I am no widow, and shall see. And when you're talking about that queen, because remember, America is an ally of UK or England, and the queen was sitting on that throne. And it says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. Because of the LA fires. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. standing afar off for the fear of the torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. This also tied into the 9/11 incident, which most people remember. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and moan over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise and more, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble. 13. And cinnamon and odors of ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beast and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves. Right? Again, this ties into the slave trade or slave kidnapping, and souls of men. And the fruits that thy souls lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye, holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you in her. 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians, of pipers and trumpeters, shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. Right, so that's talking about the crisis that you can see in the world right now, because the American dollar is right now literally worthless because of the trillions and trillions of dollars that they owned. So the whole book of Revelation 18, 1 to 24, also note when you say Revelation 18, 1 to 24, that 24 is very important, because what does that add up to? 6. How much, what does 18 add up to? 3 times 6, right? 666 again. All right, so you see nothing they can do will save them. If you look at the books of Malachi, Malachi chapter 4, verses 1 to 6. Again, note, Malachi, yeah, again, the number 6. Malachi 4, 1 to 6. So note the number 6 for the end of, what did we say? 6,000 year cycle, where the end of the moon cycle, right? Which ended in the year 2000 AD, because this is the beginning of the sun cycle. Okay, so let's keep going. Right, so Malachi 1 to 6, for behold, a day cometh that shall burn as an oven. This is what we're talking about when we say sun cycle. Yeah, the sun is what's burning. And you saw the fires, yeah, the cyclops of fires, which were burning through LA. And as much as, you know, it's sad to see people losing their homes, etc., this ties into what we're talking about Babylon the Great falling. And America is that city referred to as Babylon. All right, so it says, For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud ye and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness, S-U-N, right, arise with healing in its wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, and ye shall thread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah, right? So again, we explain that Elijah, yeah, if you look at Elijah came, if you study and know what happened with, before Dr. Malachi Z. York, Partner Babylon came on the scene, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came, okay? You can see how everything ties in, because it's prophecy, as they say, when you're dealing with the last book of the Old Testament and the last book of the book of Revelation. So Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. All right, so this is where we're saying that now wu-sabat is here to turn and bring everyone together. Yeah, so we're turning the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children onto the fathers. And we need to all come together, because these things are happening now on the planet Earth. Revelation 13, 1 to 18. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast, right? Remember I was talking about the beast, right? Rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And again, let me just quickly remind you and show you that when we're dealing with Leviathan, right? We're dealing with the 7. You see the picture on the front there? All right. I'll carry on, but we might come back and come to that, because this is dealing with the antichrist, Leviathan, the beast, right? So that is part 1. And again, this is Leviathan, the beast, as the antichrist, dealing with part 2. And you can see the cover, the person right in the middle of the front with the other horns is none other than our good friend Donald Trump, which deals with the final trumpet being blown. Okay, let's keep going. So, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Yeah, look at the beast, right? Remember, these books the master put out a long, long time ago, all right? The beast with the leopard, put them out in the 90s. Okay, so, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth was the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power. Now, when you look at these like dragon, yeah, you're dealing with China when you're saying the dragon, because they have the celebration, the year of the dragon and so forth, because you're dealing with the nations here. So, as it says, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Remember, when I said America is in debt, in trillions of debt, a lot of that money is actually owned to China. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. Okay, so we're going to go into that Antichrist and people worshiping the Antichrist, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. Remember, the master teacher came and we refer to him as the Lamb, right? I will follow the Lamb wherever he goes. Okay. Any man have an ear, this is the bit, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. 11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon, and he exerciseth all the power of the beast, of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. Again, remember when we talk about having the beast in your right hand, now people are able to put chips where instead of carrying the Visa credit cards, right, because this deals with credit, which means you don't have any money, but credit cards have a lot of problems being stolen, being like dealing with fraud, etc. So they now insert in chips. You can go online, Google this, people are using cards as chips, because remember the chip is on the card anyway. This is where the pin and chip thing came in. But because people can lose their credit cards, etc., they're being convinced to have it on their right hand or on their forehead. So when they're walking, they can pay for things or use their hand to pay for things without having to lose it or take out the card. Okay, so let's go. Where was I? And that no man might buy or sell, save he that has the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of the beast. So the mark, yeah, you either have the number, the mark, or what does it say? You either have the number of his name. So if you don't have money, basically, if you don't have cash, if you don't have credit card, and you're not chipped or marked under the beast with the number 666, you will not be able to buy or sell. That's why I was saying the XXX ties into this, all right? For it is the number of a man, right? Now, when you start to look at our good friend, Mr. Musk, as I said, with all the X's and how it ties into Hitler and how it ties into now digital currency, his number is 600,306. That's dealing with the 666. So they now have their man of sin. If you look at 2 Thessalonians, right, it says 2 verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Yeah, he is with them now. If you look at 1 John 2 verse 18 to 28, little children, it is the last time, and as you have heard, the antichrist shall come, and the antichrist shall come. Even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. Anti in Greek, right? If you look at Strong's number 473, yeah, that's why we say like to be Christ is completely different, yeah, to being Christian, because what's happened is the word, when you add the anti, you can see A-N-T-I, right? Christ is to be anointed, but to be antichrist, yeah, so to be anointed is something completely separate, but to be a Christian is something else, because it tells you that they found a Messiah, right, in Antioch, who was being interpreted the Christ, and then you got these new beings called Christian. And when you look at Constantine, he was the one that made everybody Christians. But let's keep going. So anti in Greek, which actually means replace. Yeah? Anti means replace. Even though we say it go against, but it literally means replace when you do the further research, to replace. Okay, so replace, not against, right? This beast is here to replace the children of the devil. John 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Yeah, so when you're thinking you're waiting for Christ, Jesus, to return, yet you're being deceived. I read Revelation 12, verse 9 to 12. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, right? The reason serpent is important, and there are a few movies you should watch. There was a movie called V, yeah? Extraterrestrials come in here who are reptilians, and that V, they said it meant victory, right? But really, it deals with beings from Vulcan, right? Which ties into these draconian beings, because when you look at the VI, remember I said the movie is called V. I'm sorry, there's a movie called V, but there's another movie called World War. Let me just, World War Z, that's the one I'm trying to remember. So you have world, and it's not a coincidence, yeah? If you look at that Z, you can see that it actually is also an S, and the S deals with serpent, yeah? Which is dealing with this reptilian beings from the Draconians or the Draco constellation, yeah? And the reason I'm showing you these two is because you can see there are 3 strokes. So when you look at the Z, there's 1 stroke, another stroke, and another stroke, right? If you look at this 6, you can see 3 strokes. The Z looks like the S, which is dealing with the serpent people or the reptilians or the draconian people, referred to as dragons as well here, which ties into the book of Genesis, where the serpent came and spoke to Eve, etc., called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, right? He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So the devil is on earth with his angels. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcome him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Stick with this, stick with me. There's a lot of information to get through, and the Shakespearean language you're hearing is because we already did a video talking about how Shakespeare's influence is in the Bible, the King James Version. A pretender, a replacement. Look at him pretending to be Christian. That's what I'm saying. Like when people say, I believe in God, or I trust God, right? You have to, in your head, you have to ask, which God are you talking about? What God are you talking about? Because Christian is anti-Christian, which is the anti is dealing with replace. So there's some technology going on where you're thinking you're actually looking at one thing or worshiping something, but you're actually being bamboozled to worship something else. Hitler was a Christian, and he was an antichrist, right? Paul was an antichrist, because Paul, right? Paul is where the Christian world comes from, because he was against the teachings of the true Jesus. And so a lot of I've already broken down before, again, but let's tie it to this, because when you're saying Paul, right, you got like the Pope, because this is from Paul came the popes, yeah? You know, Pope John Paul the first, but you can see the P's, if you invert them, again, this is tying into the E's, also dealing with 666. Okay, let's keep going. He made Europeans think they can become Yahshua's seed by divine. No, John 1:11. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. His own, if you go to Matthew, he came to his own only. If you go to Matthew 10:5, it says, these 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter you not. Don't go to Hebrews number 1471. Goim, which means Gentiles, heathens, Psalms 2:5. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yahshua was of the black race like Judah. You can read Jeremiah 8:21. For the hurt of the daughter of my people and I hurt, I am black. Astonishment have taken hold on me. Jeremiah 14:2. Judah moaneth and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Judith said, I am black. Kedar, Yahshua of the tribe of Judah. So he was black. Song of Solomon, verse 1-5. So now a lot of footage is coming about Jesus being black on the internet right now. I am black, but comely. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Kedar means black, right? Research that. So there's an article that from the Daily News. This was in February 19. Again, I'm just going to hold that up. Again, we can pull this up. And the article is basically saying, Pope calls out hateful Trump. A person who thinks only about building walls and not bridges is not Christian, is antichrist. This is the Daily News, right? Not us saying this. All right. So the Europeans have been deceived into thinking they can be saved by Paul. And the word Paul also ties into the word bow. Yeah? Bow. You can hear it phonetically, bow, Paul. And Ba ties into Ba, Babylon, Bab-El. And that bow is also the being known as Enlil, okay, who changed the teachings of Yahshua, yeah, to Roman and Greek teachings and called it Christians. This is what I will say. That this you can find in Acts verse 11:26, where it says, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch, a European cult of Druidism. Most of them don't know the truth. Others don't really care. It's a money thing to preachers, pretenders, fakers with evil inside. So you have a lot of people that don't really care about the truth. They don't realize that this Christian thing is Antichrist, and that was first coined in Acts, in Antioch. And it's all about money. When you go to churches, when you go to a lot of these congregations, it's about passing, the collection basket around, and it's about money, money, money. So they're working for the government is working for the beast, because the system that we're talking about, run by this beast computer, it's all part of the government, which when you look at the word government, actually phonetically, you can see government, and the ment deals with the mental. Yeah. So we're dealing with governing your mental, because you first of all have to think of things, and whatever you think of is what you do. And if your mind is being controlled by way of mind control, influences, advertising, media, social media, influencing your way you think, and what you think is right but may be wrong or not good for you. So if you look at Matthew 6:24, no man can serve two masters. You can't serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Yeah, tried to save him, yet they don't want to give up being the leader, being a star. So all the people that want to be, stars, like we've spoken about Hollywood, yeah, and they want to be stars. When you look at the stars, yeah, being a star, it's dealing with fire, and you have two types of stars. Again, you go and look at all the flags of countries and look at Hollywood and see which star is being used. My star drawing is not the best, but I think you can see it, right? When you look at this star, is equals to what? 6 pointed star. See the points? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this one is 5. And every religious symbol has a star, either the Jewish star or you look at like Islam with the crescent. Yeah, it's always a star. And the two of these, 6 and 5, added together gives you 11, which is the sons of Canaan. Yeah, Canaan. The 11 sons, right? But I won't digress too much. All right, so let's go back to people just wanting to, worship money and be a star in Hollywood and so on. Okay, if you look at Isaiah, again, tying to the star, Isaiah 14, verse 12, and it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Yeah, Lucifer. When you look at the circle, this is what you call a cipher or cycle, right? So when you say Lucifer, you're really saying Lucifer, right? The circle of the owl. And you see a lot of celebrities, they wear a little ring. If you watch carefully, look at their jewelry, they wear a chain with a little ring around it, which is dealing with the worshipping of this morning star. So, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations, and the fake anointed one, Messiah, who is a cherub, right? Look at Ezekiel, because you got cherubim and seraphim. The seraphim are considered the good one, but the cherub is the bad angels, as they say, yeah? Look at Ezekiel 28, verse 1 to 19 and verse 14, anointed cherub. So there is an anointed cherub, which is an anointed devil, or, instead of the two sides, seraphim is good, cherubim is bad. That is their Christ. That's the Christ Paul gave them, where you get that whole thing and you get the word Jah, yeah, and Zeus, which ties into, from Paul. Paul was a Roman, so Jah and Zeus, this is tying into the Roman and Greek gods coming together, and now people just say Jesus, yeah? And funnily, if you look at that going backwards, it's sausage, which goes into a whole different thing, which we'll probably do on another video, right? So Ezekiel 28:14, thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so thou wast upon the holy mountain of God, thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. So sit back and watch this man of sin destroy the world. He was born of evil. Again, when we're talking about this Germany, right? Germs, yeah? You're dealing with germ man, or the germ man, Germany. You say germ man. When you say germ, you're really saying germ man. And this ties into what I was saying at the beginning, when you're looking at the atomic bombs and the beings that Hitler was with Germany, trying to rule and take over the world, and all the murders that took place with the bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, if you go on the cover of Leviathan 6 books, which I've already shown you, right? The master teacher tried to warn us of his coming many years ago, and now he's here. And it's no surprise that the people around him are all the billionaires. You know, if you watch the inauguration, you had not only Elon Musk, but you had Facebook, you had, what's his name again? There, Zuckerberg. And then you had Mr. Amazon, all tying into not being able to buy or sell. Mr. Amazon, Jeff, what's his name, Bezos? Right, so let's keep going. The first and most important thing you must study is your own body, inside out and outside in. Because in order to not get caught up in this world of lies and them selling you all kinds of stuff that are not really good for you, you got to learn how to reactivate your divine being. As you know, we said many times that you have to start going inwards to yourself first and understand who you really are, so that you can reactivate your inner powers, known as, the Barathri gland, which is dealing with the submental, where it will be replaced, which sub means under there, which reacts with the mental. Because remember, I was saying government deals with the mental, yeah? Trying to govern your mental by way of controlling your mind, by way of mind control. But you've got to take back control, think for yourself, and to reactivate yourself, raise your being back up, so that you can actually be in a position where you can have your Barathri gland replaced, and it can be regrown in the hippocampus area of the brain, and, you know, what people call the third eye will be reopened between the thalamus glands by the pineal gland. And then, you know, you can then reactivate being the being that supreme being that you're supposed to be. So, you know, about the barythry gland, not everybody has the barythry gland. A lot of like sixth ether being Europeans do not have it, which actually interacts with your soul. But again, we can't just generalize with everyone because there's so much mixing and mixtures nowadays where it's not about the color of your skin. It's not about, you know, it's really about who you really are as a being, because you can have all sorts of people that can do good and do evil. Okay, so many think they know, but they don't actually know. This is why Power the Babylonian is here, to give us the actual facts. And, you know, a lot of mortals are just being fooled. And all these years, he did his best, he says, to let us know about, you know, religious figures and it's man-made Bibles and Qurans. They want to change alchemy, which was a science. Again, let's talking about alchemy. Yeah, what you're saying is, when you're saying alchemy was the ability to transform energy and transform yourself. And the word chem became the word ham, yeah, ties into one of the sons of Noah, which is really chem or ham, which deals with chemistry. This is where the word chemistry comes from, because this is, chemistry is dealing with, you know, being able to transform things using alchemy, all right? And again, ham means black. So, right, where are we? Yeah, so, you know, the religious miracles that you see in the Bible, which is made to sound like it's something that is unique to one person, is really dealing with alchemy or the ability to do these transformations. Our time on this planet is almost over, yeah, because we are past the 400 years, as I read before, that was talking about leaving from 600 to 2000 AD, which gives you the 6,000 years. So if you count backwards, 2000 AD, then backwards to BC, you get, you know, 4004 or 4000 if we round it off to add to the 2000 gives you 6000 AD. So the curse and the curse seed and the six ether forces, because again, all these sixes I've been talking about, they relate to six ether, as opposed to the science of wu-sabat, which is dealing with the adverse of that, which is 9 to the 9th power of 9, or 9 ether, okay? Right, let's keep going, nearly there. So all we see is the mark of the beast. Chay has taken hold of basically the blacks in America. They offer their souls to the man of sin, live in their image and light them. Those to be saved will come from outside of America. The messenger, who's I mentioned Elijah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, yeah, and he did not teach the Arabian form of Islam, because even when we were going through the school of Islam, many of the Orthodox Sunni Muslims did not accept us or recognize us, and they refer to us as converts into Islam because they look at it like it's their religion. But we were walking through these schools, and eventually we came out of all of their religious schools, because all those monotheistic religions go back to Abraham. But we were walking back into our own culture and therefore had no need for Islam. And one of the prophecies the master, you know, gave, you know, he's not a prophet, someone that has the ability to predict. That's what the word prophet really means. And I've said before, the weathermen give you predictions of the weather for tomorrow. So that, if you want to look at that as a prophet, a prophecy, then it's a prediction. But he did tell us that Islam was going to become something that would be associated with terrorism. And it wasn't long after that we came out of Islam, and the same Muslims, Sunni Muslims that were saying we weren't Muslims, were saying, oh, why have we left Islam? Because we're no longer wearing the women were no longer wearing the veils, we weren't wearing the jalabiyas and the hijab anymore. But the master teacher knew, and not long after that, Islam was associated with terrorism, and it became this whole, the war on terror, you know, with the, you know, 9/11 and Bush going after, what's his name, Bin Laden and so on, all right? But let's keep going. So he took the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Elijah before the great and dreadful day of Malachi coming. He was teaching a form of Islam which was waking up Nagarus, or the Negroids in America, telling them to open their eyes and see that they're living, with a race of devils and the children of the devil. And even back then, there was an article that was written about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where they were saying that the title of it was "The White Devil's Day is Almost Over." And the article read as such: in these days of bloody Birmingham, because remember Alabama and Birmingham, this is where there was a lot of clashes between, the civil rights movement, etc., etc. So, of jails in the South jammed with Negro demonstrators, these words above ring ominously, heralding an explosive and disturbing force in the Negro fight for civil rights. They are the prophecy of Elijah Muhammad, leader of a sect called Black Muslims. That's what they were calling the Nation of Islam, who cries out nakedly of the Negroes' deep rage of white devils, he calls them, founded in 1930. I'm just reading the article. But long obscure and ignored, the Muslims have been swept to prominence and significance by the erupting impatience of Negroes willing to risk violence to get equality. In this mood, Negroes who shrugged off the movement now feel a growing response to its angry creed. Negro politicians sniffling the winds of popularity and busily courting the Muslims. Elijah Muhammad, who calls himself the messenger of a black Allah, preaches a confusing religion, but there is nothing confused about his circular doctrine. It is bitter, blunt, intractable. The black man and white man, he says, can never be brothers. Instead of hoping for love and peace from whites, the Negro must accept hate and violence and be ready to return them. Instead of joining the white man's world, the Negro must separate from it and set up an all-black nation in the US. Muslims, there may be as many as 100,000, live in a closed world, barring outsiders. Life photograph Gordon Parks, a Negro, and given unprecedented access to this world, found himself forced into an agonizing self-study. Right, so that was just reading articles back then when, there was a lot of racial tensions, and, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam were teaching that the white man's a devil and to separate and not be able to live together. We, of course, in this day and time, wu-sabat, we teach unity, and we're teaching world peace and coming together of all those who want truth to, deal with facts. So, what does the devil offer you? All the devil offers you is lust and luster, or food, fun, and music. If you act the way he pleases, he will pay you to be a clown. And when you look at a lot of like the celebrities today, especially the Negroes, all they do is act out what the evil race portrays them as on TV or cinema. And now look at the state of them. You see all these beings that are just literally not interested in truth, and they're leading a lot of people astray by their antics. So it says, we can't save the American Negro or anyone who is blind, deaf, and dumb, can't see what is going on around them. And Obama was not a black man. Kamala was not a black woman, right? If you actually check it out, they didn't really do much in terms of their policies or what they were trying to give to, to the people. And so, because a lot of people think that just because you're in black skin that you're going to do the right thing, not necessarily, because all the presidents are actually linked by bloodline anyway. A lot of people think they're free, but they're not. And all they do is they're being made a fool of on TV. As now a lot of these so-called black celebrities, they're being, you can see the situation with Diddy, what happened with R. Kelly, what's going on, what happened with Bill Cosby. So many of these people that think in becoming a star and living in that Hollywood world, their wealth is now also being taken back. America's broke, as I said, owing trillions and trillions of dollars, And that was also because of the wars, because of the viruses, the COVID, many, many things. The weather attacks caused America to go broke. Okay, and now, obviously, Mr. Trump is in power and he's saying, when I watched the inauguration, it was funny because he's just like, I'm going to fix that. Everything's going to be great. I'm like, he made it sound beautiful, like he's got a magic wand that he's just going to wave and everything's going to go great. But I remember doing a video saying, if you're that great, free the master teacher, because really that's all we want. And I can see many pardons have been given. If you go back and again read Revelations, everyone's looking at Trump like the savior now. And many articles are calling him a king. King of what though? King of what kingdom? All right, so you got to check that out. In Revelation 13, 1 to 18, and he says, I will, it's talking about you could be betrayed. So, you got to be on your wits and see what's going on. So Trump's like I said, he's like the new Jesus. He's like, he's got miracles. He can just make everything great. America's going to be great. But what's going on? Mass deportation. There was a threat to what? Get rid of TikTok, which again, if you really look, even though it's spelt like this, you're dealing with a clock. TikTok. The time is running out, the time we're in. Yeah, so Trump's coming in like the new Jesus. But is it the real one or the false one? And, they will swear on the Bible and act like they're Christians. But what are the ulterior motives? Yeah. And what's funny as well is he launched his own meme coin the other day, and in just the one day he made billions. And he seems to be surrounding himself with billionaires, all the people I mentioned before, Elon Musk, Facebook, even the people that support Joe Rogan, which I was surprised because obviously he said he went on the Joe Rogan show, which many people saw. And I found that funny because I remember Joe Rogan saying he was never going to have Trump on there. So it was ironic how all these people seem to be, in a way, selling out. Because even there's a clip with Snoop Dogg saying that, the last term of Trump, he was ridiculing anybody who was going to actually perform. But then this time around, he's performing. And it was Nelly, if you ever watch that video, he did a lot of pornography and using a credit card, the 666 mark of the beast, to swipe on women's anatomy. Yeah, so these are people that don't really promote positive images. All right. So if we go to Revelation 12:9, right, it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And you can see, again, if I can make that, the new Trump meme coin, which made him billions overnight. So he's surrounding himself with billionaires. And I'm thinking, these people are going to try and help to deal with the debt, which that's one of the things he spoke about dealing with the debt. So it says here, the official meme coin known as Trump was launched on Friday for nearly $6.50 and rose to a high of $73 on Sunday, hours after his inauguration. It had dropped below $40. Its market cap on Monday was about 7.6 billion. This is according to CoinGecko, right? One of the platforms you can use to check the different cryptocurrencies, etc. He says, my new official Trump meme is here. It's time to celebrate everything we stand for. And he says, winning. Trump wrote in a post on the platform X, which was actually funny because if you look at the whole thing with Twitter had a voice where people could express themselves. Elon buys it, takes it over, and then changes the algorithm so that his messages get put to the top. So he has a major influence in controlling the mental and people's minds, and something that's never been heard of. So you look at Joe Rogan, he has millions and millions of followers and views. So it's kind of very strategic to watch the whole thing play out, where all these billionaires, all these people surrounding him, to basically control the narrative to a certain degree. Because why would it make sense that, someone's tweets are going to have preference or precedence over others. Anyway, so we go to that Revelation 18, as I was saying, it says, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins. The great white whore of the world with her pornography. Look at them on TV. What do you see? They sell sex pills, Viagra, etc. on TV, sex toys on TV. Call me, there's talk lines. Call me and talk sex with me. The six ether forces, sex. That's what I was saying about this X. Because when you look at X and you look at 6, yeah, even though I put the numbers, if you look at 6, you can see that the vowels can be changed. So 6 is also sex, and sex is what they use to control a lot of people. All right, so you see a lot of shows is all about sex and 6 ether forces that rule. Okay, so American is fallen and has become the home of devils. Read Revelation 18:2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great has fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. People who wish to live in sin, again, cinema, because again, tying into the Hollywood, you're dealing with, we say cinema, right? Even though it's been changed to movies, dealing with the man of sin, movies is just moving images, but sin ties into sin, which is Nana sin, right? Nana sin is the being that I've spoken about before, who is also, there's many antichrists. He's also the antichrist that, Trump is his guy on the planet right now. So if you want to live in sin, that's why a lot of people want to go to America, because in like Muslim states in certain countries, you can't get away with the things you do in America. So if you read Revelation 17, 1-7, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And that symbol of the Statue of Liberty goes into this. This is the female that's been referenced to, as well as I also said about the Queen of England. So, because if you know the history and the story of the Statue of Liberty, you can you can connect the dots. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. That's the harlot, the pornography I'm talking about. The mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and the 10 horns. All right, we're almost there. So it's a great breakdown. I keep coming back to this, yeah, dealing with the same horns we're talking about. And again, when we go into this whole sex things, there's actually an article of, there's a website, OnlyFans, that, a lot of women, they utilize it to make money by way of porn. And there's a woman called Lily Phillips who was in tears because, she did some session where she slept with over 101 men in one day. So this just ties into how, pornography and sex is used to control a lot of people's minds by way of, these harlots and whores. They teach young women in America to sleep around, have boyfriends, many dates, one night stands, going steady, sex. Then once, someone's gone through this and they're all used up, then, they will look for someone who will marry them, and they will wear a white dress, which is supposed to represent purity and being a virgin when they're not. And this is why in wu-sabat we teach, we don't really have boyfriends and girlfriends, because you're dealing with exchanging a lot of fluids, and you're taking on personalities, agreeable and disagreeable, spirit forces, etc., that, are going to affect you for the rest of your life. So, wu-sabat, we don't deal with that. And a lot of people, as I said, they come to America because even though it's supposed to be a Christian country, the morals are quite loose in terms of what you can do, all right? And in in North Korea, they banned, again, there's a little article where they've banned wearing jeans, denim jeans specifically, because denim jeans, they're not porous in the sense where you can breathe easily. So the material itself, so there's a lot of bacteria that can be held in that material. So, in North Korea, they've banned jeans because they look at that as a Western influence and capitalist culture. The regime views jeans as emblematic of Western consumerism, which it perceives as a threat to its socialist ideology. By prohibiting jeans, the government aims to curb Western cultural influences and reinforce its own political and cultural identity. All right. So we're living, to quickly summarize, I know it was a lot of information as usual, but we're living in a day and time on the planet where all kinds of things are going on. Rumors of wars, fires, tornadoes, earthquakes, bad weather, and a lot of tensions. And 2025, again, go back and look at some of our videos where we said from the year 2024 going into 2025 and to the end of 2030, we're going to see a lot of things. And this is where wu-sabat comes in terms of putting out the truth to a lot of people who are waking up and seeing the play that is unfolding before our very eyes, where people are waiting for somebody to come and save them when they really need to save themselves. You need to subscribe to OSM Vision so you can be kept in the loop with all the latest information of what's going on the planet. Even with those fires, as I mentioned, the master teacher warned us about this and gave us, a prediction that cyclones of fire were going to sweep across America. That was around June, and now, months later, it came to pass. So we're saying that Leviathan, the word Leviathan, in fact, when you're dealing with Leviathan, you're literally saying Levi, yeah, because remember in the book of Bible, Leviticus deals with the law, yeah, so you're saying Leviathan, yeah, you're literally dealing with, you see the VI again, which ties into the 6. Leviathan means law, so you're dealing with the law of Adhan. Adhan means sin, relating to what I'm saying, that Nana sin, cinema, the man of sin. Yeah, so we're dealing with Leviathan. When you look at Leviathan, you see it there, right? That's dealing with this whole period we're talking about, where people look at it like the ending of the world, but it is an ending of the world, but you have to define what the world means to you, because the world could be just where you live. It could be your city. It could be the country you live in. It could be the continent. Or is it the entire planet? Even the entire planet is not the entire solar system or the entire galaxy or the universe. So the world is very vague, right? But we're talking about the ending of this world known as the moon cycle, the 6th ether, which is dealing with getting rid of all the chaos and all the kind of like divisions and, the lies, which is dealing with the religious divisions as well. Like people are fighting against each other because of religion. So we're moving into 9th ether, which is dealing with the sun cycle, or people who say the golden age or the Aquarian age. And this is the time where the awakening is happening, the rise in consciousness, where people are realizing that they've been lied to. They don't trust governments anymore, because the governments just govern their mental, tries to control how they live and what they can and what they can't do. Again, incidentally, Mr. Musk has got all of these robots and cars that, you know, are being controlled, and you know, these are going to be able to be controlled by way of remotely, you see. So the robots, they're going to basically replace a lot of jobs. You're dealing with AI. AI is now taking over a lot of jobs. So we're living in a world where a lot of changes are taking place. And if you really want to know what's going on, stay tuned to OSM Vision, study, research, check things out for yourself, and know that this is the camp to be in. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're coming from, doesn't matter what type of religious background you have. You can be an atheist, which again, is a funny word because people say atheist means you don't believe in anything, but it literally means you don't believe in theories, or to say you don't believe anything, and the word actually goes back to theos, which actually is a word for God in the Greek. So the very word atheist that people are saying, I don't believe in God, actually means God. And not only that, you have to believe in the air that you breathe. You have to believe in the earth you walk on, because you can't fall off the ground. You need the earth to walk. You need air to survive. So whether you don't believe in the Bible or the Quran or the religious books, you still believe in nature, because nature is the true God and goddess, because we are all from nature, and without nature, you can't survive. So we have to be in tune with nature. Nature will tell you what's going on. Mother Nature, or they say Gaia, she's now like healing herself and getting rid of the problems that have infested her. We say manifestation. Man infesting the planet by poisoning the waters, causing wars, bloodshed, all the problems in the world. Nature is starting to fight back, and there's nothing more powerful than nature. And when you look at the word nature, yeah, I know when I use the board, it's all over the place, but it's good. Nature is where you get the word natiru from, ancient Egypt. But in our tone, in the language, it's natharu, because the natharu are the highest 9 ether beings that know what's going on, and they are instrumental in bringing about this change, because they are elemental beings, as in attached to nature. But even with elemental beings, you have agreeable and disagreeable elemental beings. And these elemental beings, or shadow beings, or shadow people, they are there because, like, the whole point of this video is to show you that you can be tricked, because for every positive, there's a disagreeable. Like I said before, cherubim, seraphim, Yahweh, good, bad, positive, negative, Christ, antichrist. And so you may be thinking you're doing the right thing, but have been tricked to doing the wrong thing. And that's what we're saying, like the Panatharu, wu-sabat, 9 ether is the right way. And 6 ether, dealing with the beast, the antichrist, the wars, the famine, all the chaos on the planet, that's 6 ether. And there's this time now where 9 ether has to dominate and take over 6 ether. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's been happening, and it's going to continue happening until all the negativity or the 6 ether forces are eradicated from the planet. And if we're not able to raise enough people to change the vibration, last point before I go, everything is vibration. And now, like, if you know that everything is vibration, you can measure the movement or the waves that are caused by vibration, such as, for example, the dolphins, they use echolocation. You can send frequencies and waves to pick up different structures and different things. So when you look at the world that we're living in, it's actually composed of different density levels, like from atoms all the way to ether, or the higher 9 ether forces or physical ethers, all the way to natural ether energy. So you can decipher or know about anything by way of frequencies and vibration. And you can use sound, light, because again, when you're dealing with sound, motion, you're able to use frequency to heal anyone or anything anywhere in the cosmos. And that's why we have to unite mentally, so that our collective energy can change the entropy on the planet from a negative one to a positive one that will bring about world peace. So until the next video, Subscribe to OSM Vision, like, share, and comment. And if you want to ask us any questions, tune in to Ask Us Anything, which is every Tuesday GMT UK time, where you can call in and ask us questions, attend our classes, which you can do via Zoom as well as Clubhouse or physically in our many locations worldwide. You can get more information on the UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com. That's the website, official website, where we're spreading world peace, the fastest movement of truth around the world. So I'm Saken. Until next time, Taukum Wu Wadu.